next presentation on gender equality, SDG goal number 5. If you're ready, you may begin.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is group number 4, and today we're going to present about SDG number 5, gender equality. This is the order of our presentation, and firstly, our first speaker, Konya, will present about the definition of gender equality.
Gender equality is defined as all genders having equal rights and duties and opportunities. Also, it takes into account the interests, needs, and priorities of each genders. In the prehistoric era, the hierarchy between men and women are obstructed. On the other hand, by the civilized culture, the men come to hold the dominant positions. In the 20th century, women and men is the equal position of the some, but inequality of the two positions, men and women. So what we do? Sexual discrimination of the sexual discrimination of the happens over the society and furthermore all over the world. So since this problem will never solved by only a few countries, the whole global needs to stick together. Now is the time. It needs to be addressed urgently. This issue is widely recognized by the UN nations as gender equality is the problem of the social studies, but as the gender equality is a part of the 17 Sustainable Global Development Goals that the UN has established in order to create a global community. Our next speaker, Sang Jae-lee, will explain about his organization.
So the presentation, our first speaker is probably frustrated and a little bit tensed, so thank you for keep listening to our presentation. And this is a work in priorities of UN Women. UN Women supports all the nations, works with government and social medias and civil societies to design laws, programs, policies, and services. These activities are needed to ensure that the standards are effectively implemented and truly benefit women and girls worldwide. These are the 4 work and priorities of UN Women. I highlighted red colors, and so you can important part of these 4 lectures. And let me take you a historical step happened for many years. The UN faced serious challenges in its effort to promote gender equality, including inadequate funding and no single expertise, recognized driver to drive UN activities and gender equality issues. There were 4 previous distinct parts of the UN system focused on gender equality and women's empowerment. These are the 4 departments before UN women created. And let me tell you about status quo. In the first red letter in there is written 1 in 5. 1 in 5 status must not be underestimated. Let me give you an example. 1 in 5. In each group of you, 1 people among 5 are in danger in reported experiencing physical and sexual violence. And look at this picture, there is over 750 million people are endangered by child marriage. And 3 times, on average, women do 3 times as much unpaid care and domestic work as men. Next picture is about political circumstances. Totally 39% of countries worldwide have used some form of quota system to increase women's representation in public. And in the next picture, will represented by the next speaker, Juan.
While we were researching data before the session, we were curious how the UN would define the meaning of gender when they are contributing in gender equality. We have believed that the gender should include all the genders, like LGBTQ, as mentioned before, not only the 2 biological sexes. But since the UN says in order to achieve the gender equality, it needs to have the it's the same thing as empowering the women and girls. We wondered about the range of gender inclusion. So we asked the presenter of our session, Sharon Gerbeson, about this during the Q&A section. And we were able to realize that although it seems that the UN is contributing mostly to the women's rights, they are also devoting to protect the rights of every gender through the partnership with OHCHR and Geneva Human Council. Overall, we doubted the role of UN women when solving gender problems during migration or in countries that do not protect the rights of women properly. So Sharon emphasized that bringing all the parties, even including the radical feminists, in one place is important to solve this problem. So I just finished reviewing the questions we had for our session, and let's move on to the next one, which is the solution.
With all the questions answered, we will now talk about the solutions that were thought based on the United Nations perspectives. The United Nations has 6 goals that they need to achieve in order to successfully achieve gender equality, which are awareness, security, education, partnership, communication, and technology.
So the UN must raise awareness of 3 main factors in order to achieve gender equality. First, they need to address the people in power, such as governments, and secondly, they need to address the general population, like you guys and me, and also, thirdly, they need to address the people who are actually girls and women in those hard situations. And how do UN does this? And firstly, how does UN address the people in power and the government? UN must send more and more peacemakers and negotiators to advise the government and talk with the government and talk about the seriousness about this whole gender inequality situation and advise them to make better laws and better systematic improvements for those girls and women. And also, then how do UN actually raise awareness of the general population like you guys and me? Actually, UNDPI works to raise public awareness through the utilization of media and also strategic communications or campaigns. And by this, they can talk to the general population about the seriousness and the prevalence of this whole problem. And lastly, how does UN address the people who are actually suffering from gender inequality, such as girls and women in developing countries, but not only in developing countries, but all around the globe. UN is doing right now and must continue to build confidence of girls and women by sending more peacekeepers, an army consisted of women, and they need to provide the role model for the local girls and women, and they might have the confidence to become a leader in their local societies and to step up and to question the unjust system of the whole society. And lastly, UN also uses the strategy called unstereotypal lines. This is where UN actually works with other corporations or companies to raise awareness of the local women and girls by using advertisements. They show the pictures of women wearing superhero clothes, costumes, and they make the local girls and women to get exposed to those kind of job opportunities by advertisement. And this is how UN raise awareness of all three factors, and this actually can, when this continues, and when this is present in the present situation, this can actually eradicate the whole problem. And next, our next speaker will talk about the security aspect of what should UN actually do in order to achieve gender equality.
So these pictures indicate the child marriage and the war crime. So according to Bagri, there are still some countries like South Sudan, Saudi Arabia, and so on. That's Equatorial Guinea, and so on, that do not have legal restrictions on a minimum age for marriage. Also, there are many war crimes such as sexual violence going on in countries such as Bosnia and Herzegovina, Rwanda, Congo, Uganda, etc. From this, we can draw a conclusion that women are more exposed to danger compared to men. We believe that the improvements in international organizations, improvements of imperfections in international organizations such as the ICC and the UN peacekeeping forces is needed in order to ensure the security of women.
Next, education plays the biggest role in achieving gender equality since it encourages women to actually have their own rights guaranteed. We must improve the education systems of youth, mothers, and employment. In order to do so, we must ensure that textbooks foster human rights, provide free primary education to all people around the world, empower mothers to protect their own daughters along with their rights, and allow women to become independent through providing job education and providing them opportunities to get hired once again. Partnership is crucial since together we can influence much more people around the world. The United Nations must cooperate with organizations such as UNICEF, UN Women, World Bank Group, and the World Health Organization. Also, we all must have in mind that all of the Sustainable Development Goals are closely connected with gender equality, especially no poverty, quality education, clean water and sanitation, and decent work and economic growth. Another decisive point the United Nations must focus on is communication. We who are ignorant of and who cannot completely understand the reality must not demand other countries to take action. Rather, we must ask the victims of gender inequality on how we can help and engage with in order to solve the crisis. Last but not least, the developing technology must engage and take part in solving gender inequality through using drones. Drones must provide HIV and AIDS vaccine to all places in the world that cars and planes can reach. Water taps and life straws must ensure clean water for girls so that they can spare more time to go to school and spare more time for education. Toilets must ensure sanitation for young girls so that they won't have to quit school once they hit puberty. Overall, we want to enhance the quality of life through establishing basic infrastructure and implementation of technology.
Okay, so lastly, throughout this whole presentation, I wanted to share to you guys what we actually learned and what we actually have to do in the future in order to eradicate this problem. This whole process of focusing on one specific topic and getting ourselves immersed into the subject not only helped us to gain an insight about the whole topic itself, but also to learn what should we do in individual perspective, what should we do and what can we do in our small or big communities in order to achieve ultimate equality between gender and the empowerment of women and girls. And also, throughout the presentation, throughout this process of preparing for the presentation, all night and day, we actually could have the good opportunity, great opportunity to look over the SDGs again. And since the SDG is the main theme of our UN program, and also gender equality is one of the SDGs, we learned that SDGs are closely interconnected with each other. And in order to achieve these goals properly, we need to find the interdependencies between each goals to eradicate the whole fundamental problem. For instance, as our previous speaker mentioned, achieving clean water and sanitation and quality education and even no poverty actually has the potential to eradicate the whole fundamental problem of gender inequality. And this has the potential to address the current problematic status quo and to make all the people in the globe happy. And moreover, not only the efforts from UN, as we mentioned in our solution part, UN is important, but us, like our students, us leading our viewpoints to the better future within our lifetime is really, really significant, because this whole problem can only be solved when we ask the right questions, and when we find and seek for right answers, and when we take these responsibilities seriously. And this actually requires many people with this mindset from different backgrounds or culture or positions to work together, to cooperate for the same objective. And the UN is the stage for those actors who actually can engage and bring those perspectives together on the table and discuss to find the best measure to solve this problem. And by going through this process, keeping this in mind, we should also always remember that even a small change or even a small act in our small or big societies can bring about huge differences, like a butterfly effect. And also we should keep in mind that we are the stakeholders on this issue, because we live on the globe with those people, women and girls. And the half of the population is suffering from gender inequality, and we are a part of them. And since we are the citizens of this whole global community, we have the shared responsibility regarding this issue of achieving gender equality. And before we end our presentation, I would like to give you guys one quote from an inspirational British actress, Emma Watson. If not me, who? And if not now, when? Thank you for listening.
Okay, we'll now move on to Q&As. You can just point the person you want.
Yes.
Can you call name?
Soyeon Yoon.
Thank you for your presentation. You said that different people with the same mindset for equality should work together,
Yes.
and I am totally with you. I have that same opinion. But in my personal opinion, one of the problems of the movement for women's rights is that there are not enough men at the table, and that's what I'm concerned. And you mentioned girls and women a lot, and you also mentioned technology, so that was great. But I couldn't hear more men participating within the presentation, because I believe there was not much time. So could you tell me what the UN Women is doing for a more active participation of men?
So mainly they work with the UNDPI, right? They, raising the awareness of the general population also includes men, right? And that way they raise awareness of the men. And men should always, regardless of UN Women's work or not, men should always think that gender equality is their own problem also, because it is gender equality, not women's equality, right? And that's my answer to your question. Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Sian Lee from Daewon International Middle School. The question I have today is about the child marriages. In no way I'm agreeing to child marriage, but there's some cases of child marriage where the parents send their child for marriage for protection of war. That happened in Korea. That happened in many countries that had war happening in their country. So when you prohibit the child marriage, you might be leaving the child in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of war, and several cases of danger. So what is the UN Women doing to solve these situations and problems and save these kids from danger? Thank you.
Okay, so your question is basically that what does UN Women does to prevent the adverse effect of preventing child marriage, right?
Correct.
So basically that the situation itself needs to get improved, right? And that can be done by sending negotiators. I mean, those leaving the child for the war is, inevitable when we actually prevent child marriages, right? But when we actually start to ban child marriage, and with the support of the peacekeepers or the armies who can actually protect those childs and send them to the educational facilities, and those kind of efforts together can solve this problem.
Thank you.
So increasing the number of peacekeepers is definitely important, but apparently the safety of peacekeepers sent to Afghanistan or other regions that are dangerous is in danger due to sexual harassment and rape done by male co-workers or males living in a local place. So I thought it's more important to clearly ensure the safety of those peacekeepers rather than increasing the number to be actually effective in the organization. So I was curious about your opinion about this problem that exists within the organization.
So I understand the imperfections the peacekeepers have, and I actually asked the UN tour guide about this, and then she told me that the UN organization is working on to improve the imperfections peacekeepers have, and then they're keeping track of the crimes they make. And I think I see the hope of improvements of peacekeeping forces, so I am kind of I agree with, I think I am fond of the organization.
Any other questions?
The time is up. Mr. Choi, do you have any comments on the presentation? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.